online as well. And we have David Carrick, Patty Platten, Chris Keating, and myself, Lynn O'Connell. And Mia, do we have any public comment this morning?
No.
Okay, thanks. This is just a lot of info kind of meeting, some updates on things that I heard and wanted to share. The first one I just wanted to talk about was 72 Tonsit, which Mike Salicho was kind enough to call with an update after, we had that conversation, and Andrew, you were part of that, and after the storm, there was a lot of damage there too, just things that needed to be cleaned up. So at that time, the DPW was going to go in and do a cleanup. I said, we've got chainsaws, we, offered to help if there needed to be any, but it has to be a DPW effort at this point. So there was going to be a cleanup, and on March 19th, and Andrew knows more about this, I'm sure, is that the town was doing a town-wide facility assessment, looking at all the buildings that belong to the town to decide what is a priority and what are long-term projects, and the house at 72 Tonsit and the barn were part of that assessment. And so, and at this point, well, that, depending on how that went, they were also looking at, in the future, I think I had mentioned to you before, part of the discussion had been a Friends of 72 Tonsit kind of thing, where, to help care for the place and also to perhaps financially help the place. And it must have been within the town managers, and I don't know if the select board, but he talked about a Friends of, not specific to something like 72 Tonsit, but a Friends of, similar to Snow Library, Friends of Snow Library, where it would be a larger umbrella of Friends of kind of recreation spaces. And so at this point, they are still looking ahead to a possible task force and this Friends of piece. But I think they were waiting for whatever this assessment, the facility assessment comes up with for that property, what needs to be done there, and future is determining exactly what that property will look like and how it will be used, right? And do I have anything to add to that, Andrea, or is that, if I got that pretty much?
Yeah, so the assessment will tell us and recommend priorities in terms of investment, right? But if the idea, that will just give us numbers and kind of to-do list. I think the Open Space Committee, it's within your purview to talk about, is this a priority? Would you like to see this done? Would you like to create a friends group? And you can make it as wide or as limited as you want.
Well, but I kind of got the idea that was not, they didn't want a friends group that was specific to that property, that they wanted a friends of group that was more broad in.
So I'm going to push back a little bit.
Okay.
On that, okay? Mm-hmm. So that's a staff recommendation, and
right.
And so further discussion with staff about why that's a good choice, why it fits. For instance, if you decided it's a Friends of Open Space, that's very different than a Friends of All Recreation, which I don't think is your charge or is your priority.
No, it's not, yeah. Right.
Right, so I just want you to have the capacity, because you're an advisory group, to kick around what works for you as volunteers serving the town. And because nothing happens without a champion. So, and I also want to throw a ringer in, because we attended some training last night with APCC, and, the town, we don't really, it's a way of thinking about and working and conserving resources, not at the expense of, I think it aligns perfectly with what Orleans is already doing, but as the arm of open space in the community, you guys might want to be a think tank for what would you recommend as the town's relationship with that initiative? And really champion, along with Steve, how Orleans is already deeply involved in these efforts. So a friends of group might take different, there would be opportunity to respond. I think you'd have to think seriously about the charge of it.
So the charge would be okay, the charge would be okay if it was like, if it was just the Friends of 72 Tonson?
I don't think so. I think that the charge would be broader and more fully supported if it was open space.
Oh,
Friends
okay,
of Open Space.
okay.
But, again, if you felt strongly, I don't want you, if you felt strongly about a facility in town, just because staff would say that would be a tough sell doesn't mean it can't be sold or that we should continue the conversation. I'm not a fan of ideas in, if it was illegal, there was some clear-cut line, no problem. But I want the group to go through its own process of valuing what it wants to accomplish, is all I'm saying.
Lynn, to that point, I was just, before you got to the Friends of, I was just thinking from a volunteer perspective in terms of simple maintenance of a property like that. I mean, cutting grass or, not doing the big DPW getting fallen trees, but just to keep it so that it doesn't look like a, rundown old forgotten property.
Well,
That's also an idea.
And that was part of the conversation, and that's part of the reason why I went to him and said, this place is a mess, you need
Yeah.
to figure out what it's gonna look like. And it's been put back into DPW's lap, which I don't know, I mean, they're in a deficit now because of the storm, aren't they? I mean, how
Yes.
does that work? So
Yeah,
is-
I want to chime in a little bit on that one, because you can decide, you can talk to DPW in the town and say, look, we're organizing a list of volunteers to do this and this and this. Before we had staff, OIA maintained all the public, the significant beds in town, the gateway beds. And so there are lots of relationships you can have with the town, as long as they're open and detailed, and we can, we know liability, and we're not displacing an employee, right? So I just want you guys to be clear on your priorities, and then we advocate for that.
Yeah, I have a couple questions on that. First question is, Friends of Open Space or Friends of 72 Tons, is that completely independent of the town? Or if we send volunteers out there, you were talking about liability, do we have to have our own liability insurance for someone that gets hurt on the property while volunteering?
So I cannot answer those legal details. It would be, I'm not, but again, that's a second conversation with staff. I think you have to decide what you want to accomplish. And I'm looking at, is this an opportunity to respond on a particular property? So all you really want to do is advocate that maintenance is done before the summer, and it's that narrow. Or are you looking to set up a custodial relationship, a slice or a whole, and build something that gives other people an opportunity to interact with you? And so Friends Group would be independent. Like the Snow Library is a Friends of Snow Library group. The other thing you should know, that if you did want to raise money, the town can accept gifts. If you wanted, so that's another possibility. There's lots of gray here. You have to decide what you want to get done.
Yeah, there's a big gray area, because what we're talking about with Friends is really not the charge of open space,
No.
Right.
because we're set to advise, not to necessarily participate. So it sounds like it's almost a whole nother organization that we'd be
Yes.
developing.
There
And then
weren't,
would we set up capabilities with an HO13C so people could donate to that? Because I don't think you can donate through a donor advised fund to the town.
Yeah, no, you can make gifts to the town. You can
Okay.
make specific gifts to the town. So if you guys were raising money to, OIA does it, did it all the time, right? And we have gifts of sculpture, we have ways of accepting gifts, that's not an issue. So I think the question is, as an advisory board to the town, you can send a strong letter or a request for maintenance on a property, period. That's the last lift. If you want to do more and create volunteer access or volunteer contribution in labor, then that's the Friends of route. But it wouldn't be your group, you'd have to create a separate group, and the mechanisms for that, that would be another conversation with staff.
The other point I think he was making, which you maybe understand this better, Andrea, is that if you, as opposed to making it Friends of 72 Tonset, you did Friends of Open Space and Recreation, it expands your grant opportunities so that if the open space, or say it's Friends of Open Space, and you apply for a grant, it doesn't have to just be for 72
property.
Tonset, it can be
Right.
for whatever open space you wanna.
I guess I am responding then very cautiously to the priorities that I've heard in your discussions, right?
Mhm.
And your priority has been very clearly, there are other people who are championing for recreation, there are other people who are championing for housing.
Yeah.
We feel strongly about championing for open space.
Right.
And I'm asking you in your future goals or your, even next year, in terms of your priorities, when we have Cape-wide initiatives coming also, like APCC's SOS program, I think it's worth relating to and partnering with our conservation trusts, which we already have a vibrant, just where do you define yourselves? Not just reacting to opportunities, but do you want to, is your advocacy active or reactive?
Well, in this, my own personal feeling is after, hearing what Mike said was that, good, as long as the town is dealing with this, I agree with Hardy, this isn't in our purview to set up a Friends or to do any physical labor,
Right.
not that you can't volunteer or donate to it, but I just felt like the town wasn't doing anything with this property or not paying attention to what was going on there, and now they are. It seems, anyway, and I know there's a lot going on. And so I'm inclined to just let that be for now. And if anybody else has another opinion on that, that's great. Anybody else have another opinion on that?
That's the way I feel too, yeah, it's nice to be, well, just like Andrea says, we'll just keep watching it.
Just a little
Right.
nudge.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, although it's not a terrible idea to just, over time, think about other options in case this
Right.
continues to happen. What do we have at our,
Yeah.
in terms of resource and what can we pull together? So it may be worth a little bit of digging and doing a little bit
Yeah.
of thinking about it, but nothing that we have to do tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm just thinking if we actually did this Friends of Open Space whatnot, would that be another committee that fell under the umbrella of the town?
No.
Would that be completely
No.
independent?
Independent.
Independent.
Okay.
And it's not, and you're exactly right, it's not your purview. It's just, again, when you want to
Right.
cooperate or make sure, so, government, and this is me being very raw, government is public opinion and public desire meeting government process, right? So if there was and you are appointed our brain trust around around open space. And also, if you look at the comp plan that's going to be on the warrant, open space is a high priority. Environmental stewardship is a really pivotal priority. And, just what your role is, one of the things that I very much would like is that all boards and committees are aware and active partners in our comp plan. So when we go to defend or to justify purchases in town, then we've got this solid background of why it's important. And that just, at this point, needs updating. It needs just to be refreshed, because it's a new generation in town.
Right. I guess where I have the caveat is it feels a little like open space is very important, but the town doesn't want to fund it or do anything for it. They want us to do it independently through a different organization.
No, I'm sorry, I don't mean to give that at all. This is a conversation that Lynn and I had with town
Okay.
staff. And one of the
Okay.
ideas that came out of it was a Friends of group.
Okay.
So it's that, and I would really respectfully disagree, because open space through CPC purchases and town meeting, we're one of them, I think we have done an incredible job at preserving open space. And
I totally agree with
Yeah.
that. I think the caveat we run into is maintaining.
yes,
And
we have
that's
that.
everywhere.
We have that across the board, because town government is never funded as well as its social obligations, right?
I
Taking
mean,
care of our
even-
stuff
Yeah.
is a man mantra for the select
Even
board.
Steve will tell you with OCT, that's a huge problem
Yeah.
too. but-
Well, that rate-
I'm gonna back out now, you guys are clear. It was
Yeah.
just a-
Especially after the storm.
We'll jump past that. I'm just gonna add on other updates from, the chair's meeting that you may all know or don't know, and talking about funding for properties, which 72 Tonson was funded by free cash, or, which I hate that terminology. I wish they'd change that, because people get so confused. But there is a large free cash now, this cycle, right? Is it 4.2? No.
Sorry, it's not, it's committed, it's not unrestricted.
Yes, I understand it's committed.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, yeah, potentially, free cash is used for property, but not this round. There's a couple of other things that came up there. The target date for the Eldridge Park renovations will begin after the Firebird season is over in the fall, so that's something to look forward to. And in the spring, this year, May and June, the select board will be reviewing committee charges. Did I have that right, Andrea? A couple of other things relating to environment. They're still looking for volunteers for herring count. So if you are interested, or anybody in the public is interested, Rich Levy on the marine, oh my gosh, why can't I think of the name of the committee?
Marine and freshwater.
Marine and freshwater. I want to go wastewater and marine, and I'm like, that's not right. Yes, anyway, or if anybody here is interested, I have this email address. I also wanted to point out that on the 30th, which is next Monday night, there's a symposium on a coastal salt marsh symposium, and in Chatham at the Chatham Community Center from 4 to 6 on Monday night. You need to register ahead of time at Friends of Pleasant Bay if you want to go to it. I recommend it.
When is that again?
That's next Monday night, the
Okay.
30th, and it's a, quote, workshop demonstrates the link between scientific research and local action. And I think we are.
Where will that be held at?
The Chatham Community Center.
Okay.
4 to 6 p.m. So then I also just wanted to jump to the Cape We Shape, and the main reason, I think most of you are aware of it or have already signed up for it, but I wanted to say it on a public forum in support of it, and I'm just going to read the way they describe it in one of the articles. The Association to Preserve Cape Cod, their new campaign to preserve the remaining undeveloped land that has been identified as priority natural resource areas based on its value to drinking water, water quality, critical habitat, and coastal resilience. And that's basically in our comp plan too. I mean, that's how it's described. And Andrew Gottlieb, who is the director of the APCC, a quote, "Once developed, open space is gone forever. With development pressures greater than ever, there is an urgency to act now." And one of the things it occurred to me, and now Andrea's gone, so I can't ask the question, but it seems that different committees are able to send something in, like with the water bill or the, the tax bill. Could open space do that? Could we take a piece of our budget and do some kind of mailing just to raise awareness or to make, and I know that, Stephen, through OCT, you send out a lot of mailings, but you're not able to send it to the whole town. You don't have a town access, do you, or do you?
I mean, we could do that in the sense that anyone could do that, right? I mean, there are public records out there where you get mailing addresses for the town.
So you just,
Those tend to be more costly mailings, because you're talking about something like 6,500 recipients if you do a townwide mailing to
right, so you as a private.
Orleans addresses, and that doesn't even get you the second homeowners who are, owners who have non-Orleans mailing addresses.
And so, Andrea, did you hear my question on that? Do you think that?
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
No, that's
So-
okay. What would you think if this is something that a committee decided we wanted to try to do, just to raise awareness or try to touch people that it's hard to contact? Can we, do we go through the select board to get an approval for a awareness mailing?
Yeah, no, I would go through the town manager's office, and again, I think it's a little touchy to, I don't know is my answer.
Okay,
Because APCC is an independent organization, so it's, I don't know.
no,
And I think,
okay,
like,
let me clarify. I wasn't thinking about a mailing that was specific to the Cape We Shape. I was thinking about a mailing that was specific to open space awareness in the town of Orleans and.
Oh, yeah, absolutely,
And
yes. if
because
it's
you never know
confined
if
to-
somebody has a piece or
Mhm.
just to raise awareness. I feel like
Yes,
there's
yes.
just
if it's-
people that don't know, that don't understand, and
And
or-
so I would recommend that, think about that because we've got town meeting coming up and there are a lot of workshops and a homepage and all that stuff, if you want to bundle in that awareness initiative with other warrant-related concerns, you could work with Mia, hello Mia, and do a video. You could get the word out on the website, and you could, I'm not sure about bundle it into another mailing like with the water department. I don't know, so it's worth talking about with staff.
Okay. What does
But
everybody?
specifically,
Yeah, one other-
yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, what does everybody think? I'm interested in everybody's
Yeah, I
opinion
think-
on that, their thoughts on that.
I think it's a great idea. I think the awareness piece is key. And often we go hand in hand with OCT, so whether or not, I think the point is just, yes, there are avenues to pursue, and there are a number of different ways to do it that will help, retain some of the critical open space in the town of Orleans. And we can talk a little bit about what that means and what that is and what's left, and I think it'd be terrific.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of spurred by the Cape We Shape,
Mhm.
but the idea that, I mean, putting a sign in your yard, yes, people see it, handing out a sticker, yes, people see it, but individually reaching out to the residents specifically of Orleans and raising awareness that way. And a little bit about, what the value has been from preserving these properties.
Mhm.
But I would also ask that you include what the plans are, because again, we've got a comp plan that's gonna go to town meeting, and our Orleans philosophy and investment around development and preservation aligns exactly with this effort that APCC is spearheading. So it's a win-win, but we can, as a town entity, we can say, here's what we're doing, and with public money. What we can't do is, with public money, further APCC unless it comes up in a different context. their guest speaker or something like that.
Right, and my wife is on the board of APCC, and I know a little bit that basically the understanding I get with APCC is to help advocate local communities, towns, whatever, to help them know what to do and how to go through the right channels to get it done. They're not necessarily a funding force, because that's not really their charge. We have others like Cape Compact and those that are the charge. But basically, they're a tool to help us understand the best ways to get through to our local towns and communities and boards and everything else.
So
That's my,
APCC has been an active partner in the development of Orleans sewers. Andrew was at the groundbreaking ceremony, and their advocacy has helped spearhead opportunities for lots of different things. They are a great partner to the town, but they are the advocacy regional kind of forward-looking
Right.
piece, and we work closely with them. So, you know, your idea of this committee advocating and renewing resident awareness for open space, what's available, what's been done, you know, what are our plans, fits
Right,
perfectly. It
well,
dovetails into the comp plan, which is also recommitting us as a body at the next town meeting to that preservation. Preservation, and as you say, maintenance of and accessibility
Right.
for the public. Yeah, it's a beautiful, great idea.
absolutely.
So, Andrea, would I go to, or one of us go to George Meservey first as our staff liaison, just to run it past
Yeah.
him? He takes
Yeah.
it to the manager's office, is that the chain
Well-
of command sort of thing, the idea?
Well, basically, I'd go through George, because depending on how you want to route this, and there would be a conversation with Amanda, who's public information, right? So George is your staff person, go through him, and then how you want the message out and what the message is a partnership with you and Town Hall. And honestly, when you're about to do it, like when you're ready to launch it, come to public speak at a select board meeting and tell the public that this is gonna happen.
That's a good idea.
And you may wanna make a video about it. You know, that people, when they go to the town meeting page, or they go to a different resource page, or your page, there's a refreshed version of what your committee is involved with and what you're championing.
Hey, we got Hardy.
Lynn, I'm happy to help you in any way.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm
we can talk
interested in
about it
what,
afterwards.
well, ideas, what would the wording of this,
Right.
Yeah.
what would this look like? And I'm open to anybody who would like to phrase that. I think it's a great idea, it's kind of, I'm just biting at the end of it, and the idea just spurred from what, APCC is doing, but I really feel like we need to put it out there, put open space out there, raise awareness of all these things.
Can I just ask, Andrea, are you still there? I'll get her when she comes back. You can keep going.
Well, what,
He's back.
yeah,
Hey, Andrea, can I just ask a quick question, which I think I know the answer to, but that my feeling with open space has always been it's kind of got a push-pull type of dynamic to it, and I think we rely on finding open space and talking to property owners and things like that. Has there ever been any discussion at the town level, and I mean this with absolute respect, is to look at ways to, I don't know, to maybe blunt the force of residential development? I know that's
Yeah.
very difficult, but I'm just worried, it just seems like the two, if they could ever meet in the middle, it would be so much more beneficial for the town's open space.
I'm sorry, there was an unstable connection, I missed the
Yeah.
actual question.
No, I was just curious whether or not, from a town perspective, there is any way or desire, appetite, or anybody's ever looked at it to, and I use the word sort of blunt the force of residential property development in the town, because we have our focus is purely around going and working with property owners or whoever to save that land. But is there anything on the other side that can kind of sort of slow that down? We just feel like we're fighting against bigger pressures, and I just didn't know whether the town had any opportunity to just sort of balance that out a little bit. If that makes any sense.
Let's separate a couple of things. The town can't do anything without control of a property. So there's the legal question of controller access, right? So, and then there's the planning part of where do you want development and where do you want preservation? And then there's the third instrument of when you secure a site, what are the benefits to the adjacent properties around the site? So are we helping to save salt marshes? Are we helping to keep lakes and ponds clean? And I would say, by virtue of I think that there's always going to be a struggle for resources, always. And that the town in the past, depending on how long you've been here, we've made mistakes by pitting Peter against Paul rather than making sure everybody's at the table, even with reduced portions. And so I don't see it. I see that we're very clear with the current comp plan as well. And we're trying to rebalance CPC spending. So I don't know whether you want to follow the money or the control of property and with that discussion. But I don't see the kind of pressure on open space and securing open space. I see it in the last couple of years being rebalanced with the housing crisis and the investment in sewer. But the future is very clear that we've got to preserve land in order to enjoy and protect the environment that we live in. And we've got to confine development. Development in Orleans is redevelopment. It's not, there's no big chunks of land. And we've got to respect that development around our sewer investment, or else we've undone everything we've been working for and what we're accountable for.
And I'm not talking about some of the residential redevelopment that is being proposed in town and Route 6 and all that. I'm talking more about, there still are large parcels of land out there that are privately held, and
So zoning is going to be the issue? If they're zoned as single-family homes, those districts, or they're budding agriculture, the zoning will control the development.
Evidently not, but, and one thing I will say, Harwich has just come up with a new plan. I'm not totally sure of what that entails, but any development of more than a certain number of houses has to be voted upon by the town and approved by the town to be done. I understand your zoning thing, Andrea, but I see it happen over and over and over again, that a developer buys a piece of property, there's one house on it, they tear it down and they put up 3 houses.
So that is a zone, we have very strict, a subdivision is anything more than 4 lots, right? That's a subdivision, it comes under subdivision control. If you are going to take your property and divide it down into 4 1-acre lots, you go through the planning board and you have to go through all these hoops because you're building a subdivision. If somebody decides, that's the bylaw, that's,
Right.
you know, I got
guess
9 years on the planning board.
I
Sorry?
guess my question is on, like, behind the hotel on Quonset Road, right off the traffic circle. There are 3 brand new houses. crammed right in there. They've
With
been on the
pools.
market for
With
That's the
pools.
key.
years.
They all have a pool.
And there's
Hey, it's the
three,
key,
so
they
does
three
that
of them
mean
too.
with three, they can do that? No,
So-
it has to be
I thought there were
four?
4 there.
So Hardy, there are two bodies that run that make those decisions. The planning board will make those decisions if it's a request for 4. And if it's a request for subdividing to build houses on a site that's smaller than what's required by septic rules right now, and setback and all those confines, they have to go through ZBA and prove hardship. So with those properties, I'm not aware of what the process was, I wasn't a participant, but they must have gone through those hurdles in order to be built.
I guess I just see variances being improved all the time.
And that's a conversation with either the ZBA or change our bylaws.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'm very passionate about that.
No, but the idea, I mean,
Frustrating.
To bring David's point, that's a perfect example of the Monomoy Road, the houses, it's like all of a sudden it was like, wow, you know, it just like
Yeah.
hits you in the face, you know,
Right.
because you're going down Quonset, it's
But
just,
there clearly are ways that people are getting around this, because when the Eastwood companies built houses on Grandview, they built 3 first, and then 2 years later, they built 2 more. And they're all in the same spot, so possibly that's a way that you get around that subdivision piece, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is taking us down a rabbit hole that we probably don't need to go down at the moment. But I still think there is
especially bringing
there
up
is
Eastwood.
a force out there that's hard to manage sometimes when you're continuing to look for open space.
well, and again, you know, people who own those properties,
If we bring awareness to them.
the automatic thought is, oh, I'm gonna develop this.
Mhm.
Or, you know, eventually, you know, if I can't hold on to it, I guess I sell it. And it's
Right.
usually, so, I think that creating a greater awareness of options that aren't necessarily development, and I don't think we've done a good job of that. We sort of are in that bubble, so we know what's going, we're checking out APCC, and we're doing all this. Who's not? Lots of people aren't. I have neighbors who aren't. So I think that's the opportunity that we have that we need to take advantage of.
Right.
And that's the mailing idea, and now with
Yeah, that's a good idea, because
the
that
initiative.
route.
No, I think.
Hey, Heidi, in defense of that development, I was shocked that they actually kept, there was some beautiful trees on the property that they kept. Usually Eastwood just comes in and
Well,
flattens
that's not an
everything.
Eastwood.
No, I know,
Yeah,
usually
that's-
Eastwood comes in and flattens everything.
Actually, I did go to the hearing where those trees were debated. So they were in front of the planning board, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Element.
They had a
Because there was a
telephone
big
pole, too.
fight over saving those trees.
Really?
Yeah.
Good.
Good.
Well, that's good. That's good to hear.
Well, maybe, I don't know where I guess I want from all of you ideas about what the phrasing of an initiative, what this looks like. I think the video is a great idea. What are the main points that we want to make? Keeping it simple and understandable and
Yep.
yet educational. I will go to George and Amanda about it. Maya can hear me. Mia, gosh, sorry, Mia. I was calling Maya. So if you guys are willing to
Yeah.
throw out ideas, and whether
Yeah.
we do that now or whether we want to come back together and talk about it.
Let's, I think it'd be great to give us a little bit of time, but let's put a deadline on it.
Yeah,
It doesn't have to be, we're waiting till the next meeting, we can,
yeah, can you do that?
but I'm happy, I just need a little time to digest and kind of think through how you map that out.
Well, our next meeting is actually only 3 weeks away because we're a week
That's
late
true.
right now. So we could do that, but that doesn't mean we can't
Right, talking to me.
talk ideas in the meantime, so I would really appreciate it.
Okay.
So, you know,
Then can I,
Yes.
this time is short for
Yes.
you guys. Again, printing and all that stuff, I think the town warrant goes to print on April 2nd. which is next week. So sometimes when committees are trying to draft things, somebody will say, I will draft the first version of it, send it to everybody, and then you designate one person to respect open meeting law to send those edits back. So that by the time you meet again, somebody has created something, everybody's reviewed it and edited it, and you can discuss something that's further down the road. Or you can always schedule a workshop meeting where you're drafting.
I mean, I'm happy to take a crack at something skeletal, with some wording in it and get some input, but I also have no problem with, once we've done that, a workshop meeting sounds like a great idea too. Or we could literally just focus on that.
Okay, let me,
Lynn, unless you wanna, I don't wanna take it, if you wanna drive it first.
no,
Like-
I'm open to, that's not my forte, I don't think. Or I mean, I can probably do something, but I really want all your
Right.
input
Okay.
on this.
Yeah.
You've got great ideas.
Maybe one suggestion would be to do it for the fall town meeting versus this town meeting, which gives us very little time and a lot of crazy frenzied stuff to throw something together very quickly. If we did it in the fall meeting, we could kind of set up an outline, decide what we want to do, put some things, because I'm thinking, I'm not versed in video or whatnot, but I think what you need to do is put something on the town website with bullet points of what you want to do, a slideshow showing what you have done, and, you know, to give you an overall picture of the beauty of preserving open space, you know, maybe some people kayaking, maybe people walking on the trails, maybe visual photographs of that. But to put that together in a week or 2 weeks before this meeting, I think is a big, I don't know.
I'm confused on the connection between an awareness campaign and town meeting. Did I miss something?
Well, she was talking about an actual initiative on the warrant, right? I mean, what were you,
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's just that all these communications are gonna roll out anyway. And so it could be bundled in with,
I
are
see.
you aware that the town is already, because remember, we're gonna be voting CPC funding, we're gonna be voting, so to Hardy's point, he's absolutely right, right?
Yeah, I
It's
think
better
so.
not to work in a frenzy, and you might get more ears able to focus in the fall, especially if you could time it before, like, Celebrate Our Waters. But I was just looking that the town is revving up its communications machinery,
Okay,
and
I
if you wanted
understand.
to get on that, you could.
Yeah, based on that, we should
Yeah, maybe we could
definitely
have
do it in the
this-
fall then. I think you're right. There's no way we can probably,
Do it
well,
well.
we could, but
yeah.
I think
okay.
it's a busy town meeting coming up, and
Yeah.
I'd hate to
Spring
rush
is
it and
always
have it
crazy.
get sort of slammed in
Spring
the
is
corner
always
and then
crazy.
you miss. So,
Well, it's not as crazy. Well, I think too,
Yeah.
Andrew, you're a good place to start
Maybe we
is
could do a
Amanda.
slideshow at the town meeting or something. with this,
well, you get groans from the town.
Andrea's shaking her head. Marty, I know, that's the other thing they said at Cheers, oh, this should be a short one, and they say that every time, and everybody goes, oh, no, that's not true. We don't buy that for a second. No, yeah, so, all right, well, I will reach out to Amanda and get her ideas. I think that, part of me thinks, you know, sometime between now and the rollout of that, could we throw something in the tax bill that goes out, I don't know, is that, or how else do we sort of say, look what's coming,
Right.
and then
Right,
have something
okay.
to, so, okay. Thank you so much,
Great.
Andrea, for that, that was helpful. Okay, the only other thing we have to do is approve, unless anybody else has something else they want to say about this? Anybody? Okay. Stephen, do you have anything you want to say about OCT or anything? I know we haven't had a chance to talk.
You know, I would definitely welcome the opportunity to help massage the messaging and make sure it's consistent with what I understand the messaging to have been over the last several years, and where we might wanna focus people's attention on where they can make the most impact and help them understand what we're trying to achieve. But I definitely support what Art said. I don't think there's any urgency associated with the spring town meeting to try to slap this together too quickly and
Agreed.
not get it quite as refined as we want it.
Agreed. Okay, anyone else? The only other thing left is to approve the meeting minutes for January and February. Thank you so much, Chris. Did everybody get a chance to minutes them over? Okay.
Chris?
So I get a motion to
I'll
approve.
make a motion to approve the minutes.
All right.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Okay, and our next meeting is Wednesday, April 15th at 9 AM. That's
In
3
3
weeks from
weeks,
now.
3
It's gonna
weeks.
be, what, 70 degrees? Or no?
I hope so.
All right, have fun in the Catskills party. Is that where you are? Yeah, okay.
Nice.
Yeah,
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
take care.
Oh, I need a call to adjourn the meeting. I didn't even adjourn the meeting. Motion to adjourn.
All right.
Adjourned.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.